1 minute to air. The live stream has started. Stand by for the 30-second cue.
Okay.
Thirty seconds.
Good evening, City of Durham. Welcome to 101 City Hall Plaza in our first floor council chambers here for our City Council meeting on this Tuesday, June 21st, 2022 at 7 p.m. We'd like to welcome those who have joined us in person. Always glad to see folk here in chambers with us, as well as those who are joining us via the internet. I would ask that we have a moment of silent meditation at this time. Thank you all. I now ask our Councilwoman Deidreana Freeman if she would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have a fairly full agenda. We're going to call the roll, but I understand that Councilman Williams is parking in the lot, so he should join us momentarily. Madam Clerk?
Mayor O'Neill,
I am here.
Mayor Pro Tem Middleton,
I'm here.
Councilmember Caballero,
Here.
Councilmember Freeman,
Present.
Councilmember Holsey-Hyman,
Present.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
and Councilmember Williams will be with us shortly.
All right, thank you so much. We'll now turn to our ceremonial items. We have 4 of those tonight, and we will take them in the order that appears on our agenda. The first one will be Councilwoman Deidreana Freeman will lead us in the Juneteenth proclamation. Hopefully, Councilman Williams will be here to lead us within the second one, which is Frank Dumas IV Day Proclamation, who's here with us today. Also, we will have Councilwoman Javier Caballero, who lead us in the Cleft and Craniofacial Awareness Month Proclamation, Facial Month Awareness Month Proclamation. And finally, we'll have Councilwoman Jillian Johnson, who will lead us in our Pride Month Proclamation.
Thank you. And it's a great honor and privilege to read the Juneteenth proclamation. And I do believe we have someone here to receive it. If you want to join me, Ms. Ayeshabu. Whereas June 19, 2022 is best known as Juneteenth, or Freedom Day, marks the 157th anniversary of the arrival of Union Generals Gordon Grandler in Galveston, Texas, where 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, African Americans learned of the end of the enslavement of Black people. And whereas America must never forget or repeat its vivid and tragic examples of African American history, which expose the dehumanizing impacts of racial violence, from chattel enslavement to convict leasing, from lynching to racial massacres in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1921 and Rosewood in Florida in 1923, from segregation to voter disenfranchisement, from mass incarceration to wrongfully inflicted violence upon the innocent who fought for freedom in Selma, Alabama at the Edmunds Pettus Bridge, or the images of children in Birmingham who endured the bites of unleashed dogs. And whereas we must collectively strive to close gaps of immeasurable distance between us and affirm the promise of the Declaration of Independence that all people have the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and hold that purpose of the American government must be to secure these rights for all. And whereas we must reject acts of violence and expand opportunities to understand and learn from our frank and complex conversations. And whereas it is through leadership and courage that we each have a responsibility to confront entrenchments which perpetuate injustice or a threat to the America's true greatness. Now, therefore, I, Elaine M. O'Neill, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2022 as Juneteenth in Durham, and urge all residents to honor the day through their reflections, cultural and public education, earnest assessments, planning, and commitment to end systemic racism and all forms of dehumanizing which threatens equality and freedom for all. Witness my hand, the 17th day of June, 2022. And I'll pass it.
Thank you so much for this. This means a lot, so thank you, Mayor O'Neill and council folk. You all are joining a very long legacy here in Black Durham of cooperation, and it is really amazing to see the city of Durham join in on the efforts of 4 organizations that came together this Juneteenth to form the Juneteenth Weekend Committee. That would be Spectacular Magazine, which is the longest standing Juneteenth celebration here in Durham. Also the Bragtown Neighborhood Association, and then 2 organizations that put on the Hayti Juneteenth, which would be Be Connected Durham and Beyond, and Village of Wisdom. So for the Hayti Juneteenth, our theme was celebrating the youth that keep the legacy lit. So imagine a candle, right, and the youth are the flame. And what's transferring information, legacy, history, values, tradition is the wick. And the wick in this case would be our elders of the Hayti neighborhood. And the wax is the neighborhood itself. It's the geographical space. That matters because everything that happens somewhere. And when those places are gone, we forget what was there. We forget the history, and we forget the culture, and then the legacy doesn't get passed on. The youth are deserving of their legacy. It is their birthright. That history is their birthright. And so we must continue to protect neighborhoods, historic African-American neighborhoods, and specifically sites like Fayette Place. So I am here as a representative of the neighborhood of Hayti and the residents who have spoken that those last 20 acres, they want to maintain the memory, their history and legacy to pass on. So I just appreciate you all helping to recognize that history just from this simple proclamation. So thank you all.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. We're passing a budget tonight. Get excited. but we should get more excited about what I'm about to read. And at the end, let's make sure we give a deserving standing round of applause. So, I would like to recognize Mr. Frank Dumas today in this proclamation. Whereas, that's right, come up here. I want to feel important tonight, so you come stand next to me. Whereas, Durham is a city that believes in the power of language to expand vocabularies, foster mastery of spelling, and promote effective communication and reading comprehension. And whereas the people of Durham enjoy a diverse multilingual community from which the origin, history, and structure of the English language are founded. And whereas Durham residents celebrate and encourage the achievements of our youth that positively reflect our diverse community, spark a sense of pride and belonging, and showcase our future leaders. And whereas the Durham community knows the power of words to uplift and energize the community and to inspire and empower our youth to go above and beyond expectations. And whereas the city of Durham wholeheartedly supports student participation in spelling bees and enjoys a rich history of students earning the distinguished honor to represent Durham on a national stage and compete in the Scripps National Spelling Bee. And whereas Master Speller Frank Dumas III represented Durham at the Scripps National Spelling Bee. Fourth. I represented Durham at Scripps National Spelling Bee for 2022, making it to the first round on the national stage. Now, therefore, I, Elaine M. O'Neill, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim June 21st, 2022 as Frank Dumas IV Day in Durham, and hereby urge all residents to take note of this observance. Witness my hand in the corporate seal of the City of Durham, the 21st day of June 2022. Elaine M. O'Neill, Mayor. And just to add a special caveat to this, we get to pin you because we are going to also proclaim today you are the Mayor of the Day, Youth Mayor of the Day. All right, everybody, our youth mayor for today, Mr. Frank Dumas IV, Master Speller.
I want to say thank you to everybody who has supported me during this, and it has been an honor representing Durham in the Scripps National Spelling Bee.
Just going to do this. Councilmember Williams, next time you need to lower it. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to the mayor for giving me the privilege of reading this. We have some really great proclamations this evening. And if Dr. Rayner is here, Thank you. This is Dr. Rayner from Duke University. Whereas oral facial clefts are the most frequently occurring birth defects in the United States, affecting about 1 in 700 infants per year, and whereas infants born with clefts and other craniofacial conditions usually require surgery as well as specialized feeding support, dental and orthodontic care, speech therapy, hearing intervention, and social and emotional support as they grow and develop, and whereas this complexity of services needs to be provided in a synchronized manner over a period of years and are best provided by interdisciplinary cleft and craniofacial teams, and whereas organizations such as the American Cleft Palate and Craniofacial Association serve populations affected by craniofacial differences and the professionals who care for them in order to help infants have a healthy start to life by providing their families with comprehensive information, support, and connection to these interdisciplinary teams, and whereas it is fitting and proper to recognize the efforts of organizations and programs such as the Cleft and Craniofacial Program at Duke University and its families, working to ensure a better life for those affected by cleft lip and palate and other craniofacial conditions. Now, therefore, I, Elaine M. O'Neill, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim the month of July 2022 as Cleft and Craniofacial Awareness Month in Durham, and hereby urge all residents to contribute however they are able to the support of families and organizations working to aid those affected by craniofacial birth differences. Witness my hand and the corporate seal of the City of Durham, this the 21st day of June 2022. Thank you. And if you would like to say anything.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor O'Neill and City Council. It's fitting that we're following Mr. Frank Dumas IV. He is a shining example of our youth and the things that we're trying to do to help our youth achieve their ultimate goals and their best efforts. So as part of the Cleft and Craniofacial team, we see children from before birth, so prenatally, all the way through adulthood, and help try to coordinate everything we can so that they undergo minimum amounts of surgeries or anesthesias. We really work on their hearing, their communication, their feeding, the way they feel about themselves, all these different things that are part of the condition that is cleft and craniofacial syndromes or differences. And so by educating our patients, their families, they are able to educate their friends, and so people are more accepting of these differences and really allow these children to thrive in those environments. So we really appreciate the recognition, and thank you all so much.
Even shorter. All right. It is my honor tonight to read this proclamation for LGBTQ Pride Month, and we have with us Natalie Watson, the Deputy Director of the LGBTQ Center of Durham, to receive the proclamation. Hey, come on up. Whereas the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ communities of Durham are an integral part of the vibrant culture and fabric of our city, and whereas lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer Pride Month is celebrated nationally each year in the month of June and commemorates the riots that took place at the Stonewall Inn, Manhattan, the morning of June 28, 1969, often viewed as the birth of the modern LGBTQ rights movement. And whereas several major U.S. Supreme Court decisions impacting LGBTQ rights in a positive way have been announced in the month of June, including Lawrence v. Texas, U.S. v. Windsor, Obergefell v. Hodges, and Pavin v. Smith. And whereas the City of Durham has a proud history of advancing the rights of LGBTQ North Carolinians, including being the location of North Carolina's first Pride March in June of 1981, passing a resolution supporting LGBTQ equality in June of 1986, hosting an annual Pride Parade and celebration in September each year since 1986, and vehemently opposing Amendment 1 in 2012 and the passage of HB 2 in 2016. And whereas while we celebrate progress made for LGBTQ rights, we also reflect on challenges that remain, including efforts around the country, including in the NCGA, to ban transition care for minors, require teachers to out LGBTQ students to parents,
and prevent transgender children from playing school sports. And whereas unfortunately there is still much physical and psychological violence inflicted on LGBTQ people both at home and abroad, there is increasing violence toward transgender women of color. LGBTQ people continue to face discrimination in employment and public accommodations, and there continues to be bullying and harassment of LGBTQ youth, who make up a disproportionate number of homeless youth in the United States. And whereas Durham is committed to standing with and supporting the LGBTQ community and working to ensure that all of its residents, regardless of their sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, are treated with respect and dignity. Now, therefore, I, Elaine M. O'Neill, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2022 as LGBTQ Pride Month in Durham, and hereby urge all residents to take note of this observance. Witness my hand and the corporate seal of the City of Durham, this the 21st day of June, 2022.
Thank you. Good evening, y'all. If you don't mind, I put a couple of notes on my phone. So thank you so much. My name is Natalie Watson. I use they, them, their pronouns, and I am the Deputy Director at the LGBTQ Center of Durham. We are really grateful to receive this proclamation today. It means so much as someone who is not necessarily born in Durham, but raised, and I bought my first house here, going to get married, have kids here. It means a lot that the city, as well as the county actually, stands by their LGBTQ citizens and recognizes folks like me whose intersectionality plays an important role in the folks of Durham. There are a lot of LGBTQ people of color, specifically Black people here in Durham, and so to see the City Council stand by folks is really great. I just wanted to say a little bit about the center, just in case y'all want to check it out. We were founded or opened our doors in 2015. We will be opening a new space, hopefully in the next couple of months, 301 East Main Street, right down the street. We received funding through the participatory budget, the first round a couple years ago, to open up an LGBTQ youth center. And we are really excited to finally make that happen, 2.5 years into the pandemic. So we'll be increasing our youth programming. Just recently hired an assistant director of our youth center. We'll be hosting a summer camp in the middle of July for ages 11 to 17. So go to our website to check that out. We also provide housing services, case management services, which include mental health services, as well as providing resources. We provide support groups. We have a whole gender resource and advocacy support program. So if you're looking to change your name, if you're looking to change your gender, if you are a parent or a guardian or a family member who you have questions and you want to support your LGBTQ person in your life, come to us and we can help you out. We provide domestic violence, sexual assault services as well for LGBTQ people. We are also creating employment opportunities for folks, trying to create a pathways to an employment program specifically for Black trans women, so that when they go into the workforce, they know that where they're going to be will pay them appropriately and will see them in all of their humanity. Two fun things to note: we will be doing Pride in the Park July 17th at Durham Central Park, open to all ages. There will be food trucks, music, drag performers, the whole nine, so please come out to that. And Durham Pride will be September 24th. Links went live a couple weeks ago. All the information is on our website, and if you ever want somebody to do trainings for you, please reach out.
That was a beautiful start to our meeting tonight. I think all of us enjoyed that space to recognize, and to our mayor, our youth mayor for today. We're so glad that you're here, and we're so glad that you represent our future. So thank you and your family for being what Durham is all about, we hope to be about. So thank you for being here this evening. I'm going to turn now for our announcements for council.
Yes, thank you, Mayor O'Neill. Good evening to City Council members, to our residents, and to staff. I'd just like to make a statement. During the City Council June 9th work session, there was an agenda item for council members to reach a consensus on a candidate to fill vacancies for the Human Relations Commission, which is on tonight's consent agenda. While I do not want to pull
this item. I would like to take this opportunity to explain my nomination for one of the candidates. While I did not initially select this person, in my desire to work together as a council to reach consensus, I changed my initial nomination so that one candidate who others supported could be selected. After some discussion among council members involving the nomination, not the person, 2 council members changed their nomination for another candidate. Because this candidate had enough support to move forward, I did not bother at that time to change my choice. However, upon learning more about this person who I had chosen and discovering that his values and approaches to problem solving conflict with mine, I immediately asked the city clerk to rescind my nomination for this person and change it back to my original nomination. My values represent the core of who I am and what I strive to represent on this council. I absolutely want Durham residents to know that I am willing to welcome all different perspectives and diverse opinions, and believe they have an opportunity to kind of work at a better good. However, I do believe that working from a common set of values is necessary to move forward. My life's work has been led by advocating for marginalized and diverse populations. That will never change regardless of what council I sit on. I am willing to be the first one to say that people have a right to have their own values and opinions. That being said, I could not in good faith even appear to support someone whose values deeply conflict with mine, those of this council and those of the city that we work hard to represent. For the record, my nomination has been rescinded for that candidate to my original vote, and I am ready to move forward with the council's business. Also, this statement has been sent to the News Observer, who wrote an article about this very thing. I am very happy to sit on this council, and I'm here to do the work of the people, and I'm here to work as a team. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Hyman. Are there any other announcements from council tonight?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, colleagues. Good to be with you all tonight. I just wanted to recognize that I had the great fortune of being in Chicago all last week. And while I was there was a Durhamite about a few blocks away from me receiving an honor of Best Chef in the Southeast region of the entire United States. And I just wanted to recognize that informally tonight and look forward to us formally recognizing someone bringing home the first James Beard Award to the city of Durham, to my knowledge. And for you all who don't know, the James Beard Award in our world, the restaurant world, it's like the Oscars. It is of the highest honors. And Chef Ricky Moore of the Salt Box is a true Durhamite story that we all should know about. And I just wanted to recognize him. I'm sure others will do so as well. I happened to see his Facebook post, and I was like, "Are you in Chicago?" It's like, "Yeah." I said, "Me too." So he was having a good time down the street. And as well as Shannon over at Alley 26 was nominated. I believe out of the 5 nominations for the Southeast region of the country, 4 of them were from North Carolina, and 2 from Durham, I believe, and 1 actually won.
Thank you for that, Councilman Williams. Go Durham. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening. Good evening to my honorable colleagues, to everyone in the chamber and all watching at home. Madam Mayor, happy Frank Dumas Day in Durham, everybody. To celebrate it, I will be spelling things randomly for no reason throughout the evening. I won't. What a wonderful evening of proclamations here. Madam Mayor, just very quickly, I know council members will have opportunity to have comments about the budget when we pass it later, but one matter I did want to follow up on, and that is the CEO of ShotSpotter. Many people know that I invited him to Durham to have a community meeting to face the questions that, valid and legitimate questions that many of our members of our community have about this technology that will be piloted, provided the vote goes forward. Technology will be piloted in our city this upcoming year. That discussion will be on Monday, June 27th, this Monday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m. at the St. Joseph's AME Church. So for those who are listening at home and for our media friends who are monitoring us tonight, that conversation, we will host the ShotSpotter CEO on Monday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m. at St. Joseph's AME Church. All are welcome. Please wear your mask when you come, but all are welcome to that space for a very, what I hope is a robust conversation directly with the leader of this organization. And I want to thank all of the residents and citizens for the city for your patience in us organizing this. But I'm glad that he accepted the invitation from me, and we look forward to hosting that conversation on, once again, Monday, June 27th, 6:30 p.m. at St. Joseph's AME Church here in Durham. And you just be monitoring the media as a press release will go out tomorrow regarding that. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. If you would, please announce that at the very end of our meeting as well. If
Yes,
you
ma'am.
would just renew that announcement at that time. All right, any other announcements? Okay, I will now recognize our city manager for any priority items that she may have.
Good evening, Madam Mayor O'Neill, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, and members of the Durham City Council. I do have a few priority items for you this evening. Agenda item number 13, just contract with Legal Aid of North Carolina to administer emergency rental assistance for Durham Housing Authority residents. A status update on Durham Rent Relief Program has been added to the priority items by the city manager, city attorney, and city clerk section of the agenda. Agenda item number 38, partial closing of Henderson Street. This item was referred back to the administration's City County Planning Department. Agenda item number 41, Uniform Development Ordinance Text Amendment, Omnibus Changes 17. Attachment number 4, Planning Commission comments, was updated to include a complete set of the commissioners' comments. Agenda item number 45, Fiscal Year 2022-2023, Amendment to Contract for City Services and Programs for the Downtown Durham Municipal Service District. A supplemental item was added. And finally, agenda item number 46, Fiscal Year 2022-2023, Contract to Fund Economic Development Programs and Services operated by Downtown Durham, Inc., using City of Durham grant funds. A supplemental item was added. That is all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you to our city manager for that. I will now recognize our city attorney for any priority items she may have.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, and members of the City Council. The City Attorney's Office has what I would say is a corollary priority item to the two supplemental items that the City Manager just referenced. They are agenda item number 45 and agenda item number 46. Those items had previously been voted on by the council, and so the administration is bringing them back for a revote. But prior to that revote, we're going to need to rescind the previous votes. And so I do have motions for that. There is a memorandum that is in the section priority items by the city manager, city attorney, and city clerk that explains what we're doing. But I am happy to read the motion to the council when we get to those supplemental items, if that helps kind of keep things streamlined. And that is all I have.
Thank you for keeping us straight legally, Attorney Rayburn. We appreciate that. We appreciate your legal mind. I'll turn now to our city clerk for any priority items that she may have.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, and council members. The city clerk's office has no priority items this evening.
Thank you. We will now turn to our consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of items that the council has previously considered in a work session. All items on the consent agenda may be approved by a single vote of the council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda by a council member or a member of the public, and those items will be considered separately at the end of the meeting tonight. I am going to read the consent agenda along with the entire agenda at this time, but I do need to check with my manager for 1 second. Thank you all for that. Moment. All righty. Consent agenda item number 1 is the approval of city council minutes. Item 2, the Durham City County Appearance Commission appointments. Item 3, the Durham Convention Center Authority appointment. Number 4, the Durham Sports Commission appointment. 5, Housing Appeals Board appointments. Item 6, the Human Relations Commission appointments. Item 7, the Mayor's Council for Women reappointments. Item 8, the Mayor's Hispanic Latino Committee appointment. Item 9 is the Participatory Budgeting Steering Committee reappointment. Item 10, the Racial Equity Commission appointment. Item 11 is the mayoral appointment, the City of Durham Poet Laureate. Item 12, the fiscal year 2022 through 23 budget and 2023 through 28 capital improvement plan, CIP.
Madam Mayor, would you pull that, please?
And Mayor Pro Tem, if I could ask you, is there a specific section that you'd like to pull, or you're pulling?
No, ma'am, just the entire thing. I don't know if we were, yeah, just the entire thing. Just a general comments on the budget.
Item 14, the contract with North Carolina Coalition to End Homelessness, NCCEH, to provide homeless management information system lead agency services. Number 16 has been pulled. It is the grant agreement with the Housing Authority of the City of Durham, Elizabeth Street Apartments, Durham Downtown, and Neighborhood Plan. Item 19, low-income monthly parking discounted voucher program. Item 20, the task order 003 to master service agreement 2021 through 2506 with the North Carolina State University, NCSU, for the development, enhancement, and maintenance of the Triangle Regional Model. Item 21, amendment number 2 for Falcon Engineering Contract number 16451 for the construction, material testing, and special inspections of the Mist Lake facility expansion. Item 22, the interlocal agreement for Phase 9 of the Triangle Area Water Supply Monitoring Project. Item 23, the extension of McLean and Company contract number 17282. Number 24, the Housing Appeals Board Annual Report for fiscal year 2021. Item 25, the contract for pre-employment psychological testing of police sworn and non-sworn applicants. Item 26, the contract for post-hire psychological services for police employees. Item 27, Amendment 2 for South Ellaby Wetland and Stream Restoration Design Services contract. Number 28, Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System MS4 inspections, SD-2022 through 03. Item 29, the Stream Vegetation Management Contract with Ripple Eco Solutions LLC, SP-2022-01. Item 30, the Utility Extension Agreement with DHIC, Brightleaf Casitas LLC to serve Ascend Brightleaf Cottages. Item 31, the Utility Extension Agreement with DHIC, Brightleaf LLC to serve Ascend Brightleaf Apartments. Item 32, the Utility Extension Agreement with Taft Mills Group LLC to serve Cedar Trace Apartments. Item 33, the contract with Benovate Inc. for Neighborly Software. 34, the contract with Neighborhood Data Works to manage and operate the Neighborhood Compass Indicator Tool. Item 35, license and maintenance agreement for CityWorks software. Item 44, the interlocal agreement with Durham County to assign emergency medical technicians, EMTs, to community safety response teams. We now turn to our general business agenda. Number 15 has been pulled. Fairhaven Walt Commonwealth Development Corporation of America Development Loan Commitment. Item 17, Sandy Ridge Station Bradley Housing Developers LLC Development Loan Commitment has also been pulled. Our general business agenda public hearings. Item 38, partial closing of Henderson Street has been referred back. Item 39, South Alston Avenue zoning map change has been pulled. It's a public hearing, I'm sorry. Item 40 is also a public hearing. Triangle Veterinary Referral Hospital zoning map change. Number 41, the Unified Development Ordinance text amendment, Omnibus changes 17. 42, Wabash partials zoning map change. And our supplemental items are item 45, fiscal year 2022 through 2023 amendment to contract for city services and programs for the Downtown Durham Municipal Service District. And item 46, fiscal year 2022 through 2023 contract to fund economic development programs and services operated by Downtown Durham, Inc., using City of Durham grant funds. That would conclude our agenda, our entire agenda. At this time, Madam Clerk, just to check with you, we have pool 15, 16, I'm sorry, 12, 15, 16, 17, 39, 40, 42. 17. And those are the cards and the speakers from, and the speakers. I pulled some of those.
Those are public hearings. You said
Okay. 39, 40, 42 are public hearings, right? 15, 16, and 17. All right. We have 12, 15, 16, and 17 as our pulled items. Is that what you have? All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So at this time, I'm prepared to entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda with the exception of those pulled items. We will do a hand vote tonight. Our clickers are not back yet. Is that correct, Madam Clerk? We'll be doing a hand vote. All right.
Madam Mayor, so moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilman Williams and seconded by Councilwoman Freeman, I believe. All right. All those in favor, if you would please raise your left hand. All those opposed will have the same right. I believe that motion passes unanimously. We will now turn to our general business agenda. And we have speakers here for those as well. The first matter for our consideration will be item 15, which is the Fairhaven Law Commonwealth Development Corporation of America Development Loan Commitment. And we will be prepared to receive our staff report at this time.
Greetings, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. Reginald Johnson, Director of the Department of Community Development. This item was discussed at the work session, and the City Council moved it to general business and for further discussion, and I stand ready for questions.
Councilwoman Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I know that we had extensive discussion at our work session, and I would just like to ask if there was a timeline that could be put together or a plan around how to address being more inclusive of our local developers and our processes. Just in general, I acknowledge that the process was set and there was nothing done inappropriately, but I do think that the outcomes have been overwhelmingly discouraging, acknowledging, as I did at the council work session, that I, as a woman of color, have no handles in that process because it's more lenient towards people who've been in business the longest and have the most money. And so just acknowledging that those factors are still going to be at play in future RFPs that come from community development. I would love to see what it would look like to be more inclusive and more equitable around how we are including people of color and women in our process more thoroughly.
Thank you for the question, Council Member. One of the things that we'll be doing in community development is debriefing from all of the conversation that has been held and occurred around the RFP process. And we'll be looking at that as well as consulting with our attorney's office to see what is permissible within state regulations and state law and regulations. In terms of a timeline, I would say that this is something that we're going to be working on. We have some other RFPs that are going to be coming out toward the fall, and so we hope to have that discussion internally over the summer, over the next several weeks.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Council Member.
Any other comments from council?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This may be a question for Director Young, sort of like a yes or no. Is this something we're already working on that's coming down the line regarding planning and zoning?
You'll have to forgive me, Sarah Young with the Planning Department. I was deep in work.
Sorry, I caught you off guard. Sorry.
Would you give me a fuller question there?
Councilmember Freeman was asking about just having a process that is friendlier to minority and women-owned contractors regarding the RFP process. But part of what her comments were, correct me if I'm wrong, was about streamlining some of what they're trying to do, as well as just having the process be more accessible. I thought we had a conversation that was similar to addressing that already.
Yes, we are working on a variety of improvements to our processes in general to make them more accessible, including better customer service, providing easier ways for folks to find information, providing a little bit more one-on-one availability of our customer service staff to help folks walk through the process that may not be kind of well-seasoned in our processes. So there's a variety of things that we are working on to help make our processes easier to navigate for all sorts of folks.
Thank you. And that was just also, Councilmember, in addition to the procurement process as well. So.
Any other comments from council? We have speakers here this evening who have signed up to speak. I think we have virtually Mr. Sean Brady, and Ms. Vanessa Evans is here with us, I believe, in person. Mr. Brady, are you available? Each of you will have 3 minutes apiece.
Yes, I'm available. This is Sean Brady, Vice President of Development at Commonwealth Development Corporation. And I just wanted to say thank you to Mayor and Council for considering our request. The funding assistance that we are on the agenda for a vote tonight is what makes or will make Fairhaven Walk financially feasible in a very challenging environment. And further, it's also enabled us in discussing with our neighbors in the Bragtown community the ability to do deeper income targeting and target more households at 30% AMI levels than would have been possible otherwise. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to say thank you. I'm also here and happy to answer any questions that may come up that anybody has about the project or process, but appreciate everybody's time and all of the great questions that have been thrown out, and I'm happy to respond however I can, but we just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brady, for your comments tonight. We turn now to Ms. Vanessa Mason-Evans, who's here.
Good evening, Mayor O'Neill and City Council. I just wanted to say that with the Bragtown Community Association, along with community members, we are working with Fairhaven, and things are working out good. We're still in conversations. So I just wanted y'all to know that we are in the process of going through getting things approved and agreed upon between them and the community. Very short. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mason-Evans, for being here tonight and for your comments. Are there any other considerations before? We will now entertain a motion to approve agenda item 15, Fairhaven Walk, Commonwealth. I'm sorry, we have the 3 motions. Thank you. All right, we will take this in 3 parts. So the first motion that I will entertain is to authorize the city manager to issue to Commonwealth Development Corporation of America or its designated affiliate approved by the city a conditional binding commitment of permanent financing in an amount up to $3,340,000 in affordable housing bond funds or the development of 192 affordable rental units at 313 Old Oxford Road, Durham, North Carolina, 27703, known as Fairhaven Walk.
Moved as read.
Second.
It has been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Middleton and seconded by Councilman Williams. Are we now ready for the vote? We will raise our left hand for those who stand in approval. Those who are opposed have the same right. Seeing none, the first motion passes unanimously. I would like to entertain a motion to authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute any and all documents and instruments necessary, reasonable, and appropriate in order to carry out the purpose and intent of this conditional binding commitment of permanent financing, including the city's standard loan documents.
Moved as read.
Second.
Been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Middleton and seconded by Councilman Williams. All those who are in favor, would you sign by raising your left hand? All those opposed have the same right. That motion passes unanimously. I'd also like to entertain a motion to authorize the city manager to make necessary and sundry changes to the conditional binding commitment of permanent financing and associated city standard loan documents so long as the changes do not increase the financial obligations of the city and the changes taken as a whole are not less favorable to the city.
Moved as read.
Second.
It has been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Middleton and seconded by Councilman Williams. All those in favor, if you would raise your left hand. All those opposed have the same right. Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. We now turn our attention to item 17, the Sandy Ridge Station Bradley Housing Developers LLC Development Loan Commitment, and we stand ready to receive our staff report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. This item was also discussed at the work session. This is one of the two results of our RFP process. The department recommends approval of this item. I stand ready for any questions.
Councilwoman Freeman.
And Madam Mayor, this along the same lines as Fairhaven, just acknowledging that there needs to be a look at how our RFP process works, and to Councilmember Williams' point, also how our planning and zoning is working with our folks who have been less likely to be involved in the process previously. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, council member.
Any other comments from council? All right, we will turn to our speakers this evening. I believe by way of the internet, we have Mr. Brad Queener, Ms. Larissa Seibel, Ms. Jacqueline Klotch, Ms. Donna Frederick, Ms. Constance Wright, and Ms. Vanessa Evans is also here in person, and we also have in person Mr. Ted, I'm gonna get some help. Mr. Ted, you have a phone number that starts at 214. Can't read your last name. All right, Mr. Ted. Each of you will have 3 minutes apiece, and we will start with those persons who are with us via the internet. And that would be Mr. Queener. Mr. Queener, are you here?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
How are you tonight?
I am well. I hope you are, sir.
I am well, ma'am, and I hope you are as well. I just wanted to let you guys know that, just an introduction to me, that I'm the lead developer on this project, Sandy Ridge Station, and that we've been working with the Bragtown residents, I believe, for 18 months or so on this project in an effort to bring the affordable housing that they've requested and they've helped us design and target for this neighborhood. The team that we are bringing along with us is extremely experienced. The construction company has built, goodness gracious, probably over 4,000 units. I personally have probably developed somewhere in the 1,800 units. And the management company that we're bringing along manages probably give or take around 10,000 units in North and South Carolina. North and South Carolina is our target market. That's where we do our building, our development. And thankful for y'all's support for this project, and look forward to bringing this project to life in the Bragtown community and in Durham. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Queener, for your comments. We appreciate you being here tonight. We turn now to Ms. Larissa Seibel. Ms. Seibel is here.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I want to thank you for these affordable housing developments. They can't come soon enough. As you know, we need affordable housing, and we need everyone in our community working together to create affordable housing. I was at eviction court today. Fortunately, there were only 18 today. Tomorrow, there will be 59 evictions, including a young lady who lost her job during COVID and had to get a job at $14 an hour, but her rent was $1,800 a month. Fortunately, the county has some eviction diversion funds, and we hope that she will find something and be able to stay where she is. But we really, really need the affordable housing. That's what's going to make the big difference for families in Durham. We can't just keep, putting people out. We've got to have more affordable housing so that families in Durham, especially families with children, but everyone needs stable, affordable housing. So I thank you so much for your work in this arena, and I hope we can do much more. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Seibel, for being here. Ms. Jacqueline Kloch, K-L-O-C-H. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I think she may be available via the internet.
Here.
We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you for your time. My name is Jacqueline Kloch. I am a resident of Durham. I'm speaking in favor of the 2 affordable housing projects that are slated for Bragtown. There is a need to keep as many affordable housing units in Bragtown as possible. It would be a watered-down, false promise about prioritizing minority neighborhoods like Bragtown if the council directed GAP funding to a developer that will build fewer, if any, affordable units. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments tonight. We now turn to Ms. Donna Frederick, who's here with us tonight.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I'm here in support of affordable housing. As we know, housing is a very, very vulnerable state right now in Durham, especially affordable. We need to keep as much affordable people here and have them to transport out of this county because they can't afford to stay here anymore. These 2 projects that came before you are very, very important, and we have had multiple meetings with these developers, one-on-one in groups, so we've been all, on the same page. This could be a monumental decision in presenting these affordable housing in Durham, especially in Bragtown, and we appreciate all your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fredericks, for being here tonight. We turn now to Ms. Constance Wright.
Good evening, Council. My name is Constance Wright, and I'm a resident of Bragtown. I'm here tonight to support the request for funding for the Sandy Ridge Station and for the Fairhaven Walk. But Sandy Ridge Station has proposed 132 affordable rental units. And as you know, Bragtown has been historically overlooked when it comes to investments for improvements of overall quality of life for our residents. With today's booming financial increases in the cost of living, many residents of Bragtown will not be able to afford to continue to live in the community that they have considered home for years without the GAP funding assistance for Fairhaven Walk and for Sandy Ridge Station. Please support the staff decision to grant GAP funding for the Sandy Ridge Station for the Bragtown community. I know you all have been saying that, you know, you want to support the legacy communities. So please do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. We turn our attention now to Ms. Vanessa Mason Evans.
Good evening again, Mayor O'Neill and City Council. I want to say with this particular project of both Fairhaven and Sandy Ridge, we will have over 325 affordable units. 60 would be affordable at 30% AMI. So this would be historical for Bragtown. And we're hoping that through this, it would not just be historical for Bragtown, it will be historical for Durham. We're in hopes that this will also be a blueprint for every Black community, indigenous, whomever it may be, brown, that this can be a way to show developers this is how we should be working together as community. Not just coming in and buying up land, making it so expensive where people are having to move out of Durham and move into county areas where there's no hospitals, no clinics, grocery stores. We want people to be able to stay in their spaces. And for Bragtown, Bragtown is next to the largest slave plantation in North Carolina. 3,000 people came off of that slave plantation at some point in time. And not just that plantation, but there are many plantations. I also am a descendant of slaves. I came from Orange County, which is nicely called the Mason Farm now, but it was the Mason Plantation that my family came off of. So we have to make sure we have spaces where people can live and thrive and prosper. And I hope even with the developers that we've been talking to, with Fairhaven and with Sandy Ridge, they're talking about working with us, not just now, but the entire time of them owning these spaces. So we're hoping that we'll also have generational wealth of homes being built. May not be many, but it's a start. And hopefully it can be a blueprint for many people to see in the future. Thank you for y'all's time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mason Evans. Mr. Ted, I see on your card, you have underlined, I'm only here to answer questions. I'm assuming that you are part of the development team and you're a proponent. You're still free if you'd like to make some comments or you may not. That's up to you.
I'll be exceptionally brief. Thank you for the support, and we're really excited to be a part of the effort in Bragtown. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have 3 motions for our consideration for item 17. The first motion that I'd like to entertain is to authorize the city manager to issue to Bradley Housing Developers, LLC, or its designated affiliate approved by the city, a conditional binding commitment of permanent financing in an amount up to $5,045,000 in affordable housing bond funds and/or home, HOME, investment partnership, HOME funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for the development of 132 affordable rental units at 835 through 903 Old Oxford Road, Durham, North Carolina, known as Sandy Ridge Station.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilman Williams and seconded by, I believe, Councilwoman Freeman. All those in favor, if you would raise your left hand. All right. Let me confer with our attorney. All right. Just checking with our attorney. It seems that we have an additional speaker that would like to speak to this item, so we will just hold that motion and allow that speaker to be heard. It is Ruiz, R-U-I-Z, Alejandro.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is my first time, so I'm a citizen of Durham, and thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm up for, affordable housing, in different areas of Durham. I believe, some of the citizens, they need some help. But I also noticed, since I'm getting older, 50 years old, and, getting ready to be 60, I noticed that a lot of people also in the whole city of Durham, when they retire out of the Social Security money, they're unable to afford, paying some of the taxes for, the properties, and a lot of them, they're selling their homes and actually moving out of Durham. And so, like I say, I'm up for affordable housing, things like that, but at the same time, we got a lot of people that grew up over here, they got generations of families and all that. And at the same time, maybe there's something that it can be done to help them out too, because, with Social Security money, they don't make a lot of income. And as you can see, the families, things like that, we have a lot of break with the families that sometimes the younger ones, they don't help out the older people and things like that. So that's the only thing that I would like to, let you guys know, because if it wasn't for the older people, the hardworking people also that work and pay taxes and all that, we wouldn't have it done. And I appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for your comments. All right. I'm going to do this again, and we'll do it in the exact same order, so to just read one clear, concise, in 3 motions, okay? So I'm ready to entertain a motion to authorize the city manager to issue to Bradley Housing Developers, LLC, or its designated affiliate approved by the city, a conditional binding commitment of permanent financing in an amount up to $5,045,000 in affordable housing bond funds and/or home investment partnership, HOME funds, from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for the development of 132 affordable rental units at 835 through 903 Old Oxford Road, Durham, North Carolina, known as Sandy Ridge Station.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilman Williams and seconded by Councilwoman Freeman. All those in favor, if you will sign by raising your left hand. All those opposed have the same right. Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. I'm prepared to entertain a motion to authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute any and all documents and instruments necessary, reasonable, and appropriate in order to carry out the purpose and intent of this conditional binding commitment of permanent financing, including but not limited to the city's standard loan documents.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilman Williams and seconded by Councilwoman Hyman. All those in favor, if you would sign by raising your left hand. All those opposed would have the same right. Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. We now turn to our third and final motion on item 17, and that is to authorize the city manager to make necessary and sundry changes to the conditional binding commitment of permanent financing and associated city standard loan documents, so long as the changes do not increase the financial obligations of the city, and the changes taken as a whole are not less favorable to the city.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilman Williams and seconded by Councilwoman Freeman. All those in favor, if you would raise your left hand. All those opposed will have the same right. Seeing none, that motion also passes unanimously. Thank you for the work of the council. Very good. We are now moving to our general business agenda, public hearings. And our first item will be item 38, the partial closing of Henderson Street. And that was referred back. So our actually first public hearing will be item 39, South Austin Avenue, a zoning map change. And we are now prepared to receive our staff report.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem and council members. Michael Stock with the Planning Department. Before I begin, staff would like to note that all Planning Department public hearing items have been noticed accordingly due to UDO and state regulations and are on file for review. For the case before you tonight, we did receive a request by the applicant to either continue or refer the case back to staff due to late-breaking issues with the title work on the property. Staff would recommend an actual just referral back to staff, and it will be re-noticed once those issues have been resolved by the applicant and the applicant's ready to move forward.
All right, Mr. Stock, thank you so much. We will refer this matter back to staff. I would also like to let Mr. Jared Edens, I'm sorry, Mr. Edens, who is online, also Ms. Tanya Powell, who I believe is here. This matter will be put back on our agenda once it comes back from staff. Staff has asked that this matter be referred back to them. And so it will be put back on another agenda.
Correct. There's no date certain at this time because it will just be referred back to staff and there'll be a new notification.
Yes, ma'am. And Mr. Edens, if you stand by, we will talk to you in just 1 second.
Good evening. My name is Tanya Powell. I'm with the law firm of Nixon Pruitt. We represent FedEx Ground, which, as you are probably aware, has a ground hub at 4357 South Austin Avenue, which is just across South Austin from the proposed entrance to this project. We have concerns about safety and just quality of life for the potential residents of this proposed project, and would just ask, as part of what staff does when it goes back to them, that there be consideration of some noise studies, some light studies, this is where trucks come and go, as well as some studies just to confirm or look into any pedestrian safety issues. Part of the requirement for this project is that there be sidewalks added, and where they're being added is right at the entrance to this FedEx Ground hub. So we just ask that you do additional work just to make sure that the eventual residents of this project will have a good quality of life, and it'll be a safe project based on this existing use.
Ms. Powell, the staff would take those comments under consideration at this time, but this would not be a public hearing.
I understand. Thank you for letting me.
So we would invite you to come back again when it's
I will
back
absolutely
on.
will.
Okay. All right, Mr. Edens, if you would just acknowledge by the raising of your virtual hand that you understand that this matter has been referred back to staff, and it will be placed on another agenda. And he has raised his virtual hand. Thank you, sir. We will now turn to our next public hearing, which will be item 40, Triangle Veterinary Referral Hospital, a zoning map change, and we will stand and receive our staff report.
Thank you. Michael Stock again with the Planning Department. Z210004 Triangle Veterinary Referral Clinic is an application submitted by Tony Whitaker of Civil Consultants Incorporated to change the zoning designation of one parcel of land totaling just approximately 2 acres and located at 608 Maureen Road. The current zoning is actually the parcel is split zoned between commercial neighborhood or CN and residential suburban 10 or RS10. The applicant proposes to change the designation for the entire parcel to commercial neighborhood with a development plan or CND. The property is currently designated as low-density residential on the future land use map, and the proposed commercial neighborhood, or CND, zoning proposal is inconsistent with that designation. If the proposed zoning is approved, staff recommends a change to the flume to designate the property as commercial. There is, as noted with the D, there is a development plan included with this request, and details of the commitments are found on the plan in attachment E. A summary of the commitments includes limitation of uses to medical and veterinary uses and office uses, additional landscape buffering, a prohibition on outdoor animal containment, dedication of right-of-way for future bike lane, height and building size and footprint limitations, and an added at the Planning Commission hearing, construction traffic will use existing driveways and no additional temporary access drives shall be used. The Planning Commission recommended approval twice, actually, first on February 8th and then on May 10th, with a vote of 10-4. The additional hearing was due to a sign notification error for the first February 8th hearing. For the record, the February 8th hearing, there was also a vote for that, which was a recommendation of approval of 8-3. As a reminder, there were two actions requested tonight: a vote on the ordinance to rezone the parcel to CND as listed in attachment O, and a vote on the appropriate statement of consistency, which is in attachment P. Thank you, and I believe the applicant is available, I believe, on Zoom to answer any questions. Thank you.
You have now heard the report from staff, and I will declare this public hearing open. First, are there any questions for staff from members of council? Seeing none, we do have speakers who are here on Zoom. I think all of our speakers are here. The applicant, as Mr. Stock has stated, Mr. Randy Herman. If you'd like to speak, you may do so, sir. You will have 3 minutes. We also have Mr. Jeffrey Nunez, who's a resource person. Mr. Tony Whitaker is a resource person. Mr. Michael Graffinger, I don't have whether you're pulling to make comments or whether you're a research person, but I think we have all proponents this evening, so you will have 3 minutes apiece, and we'll start with Mr. Herman if you'd like to speak at this time.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Randy Herman, attorney from the law firm of B.A. Folk, here representing the applicant. As Madam Mayor stated, we also have Mike Graffinger and Jeffrey Nunez, who are the owners of the property, and as well Tony Whitaker from Civil Consultants, the engineer on the project. All of them are available to take questions if necessary, but I'll be doing the main part of the presentation. Triangle Veterinary Referral Hospital is a specialty veterinary facility. So it's not your local neighborhood vet. It is a specialist facility. So they take emergency cases and also major medical care, cardiology, oncology, all the specialist cases that you might need for a pet with long-term medical conditions. That is the sort of thing that they handle at the facility, which has been there for many years. So it's a slightly unusual location because it is located in a residential neighborhood. The building that they operate out of was originally constructed as a warehouse, but the veterinary hospital has been there at this point for decades. The existing zoning on the property is split zoning, which is the whole property is currently one parcel, but the zoning lines follow the old parcel lines from when it was split into separate parcels. So the middle, kind of the central portion of the property is zoned commercial neighborhood, and this is on attachment A. It's the best place to look for this, the context map. But the central portion of the property is commercial neighborhood, commercial neighborhood, which is where the existing building, the parking, all the commercial uses on the property currently are located in that central part. The other parts of the property to the west and south are currently zoned residential and therefore can't be used as part of the veterinary facility. So it creates kind of arbitrary limits on what can be done on the property. So the proposal tonight is to rezone the entire property to commercial neighborhood with a development plan. So it would expand the commercial use to the entire property, but at the same time also significantly restrict for future use to only veterinary facility and associated office, so that while the commercial use is expanding, it is also giving greater predictability and ability for the residents of the neighborhood to be aware of what the future use will be and predict what it will be. There's also a proposal, if you look on attachment E, which is the development plan. It shows the location of the proposed expanded building. So there will be an expansion of the building to allow for greater facilities to be able to do more care. Part of the proposal is to move, there's an existing mobile MRI unit, which is currently in front of the building because it can't be moved behind the building because, again, the zoning lines are kind of arbitrary. So with the rezoning, the mobile MRI unit could be moved to the rear of the building, therefore out of public view. And also on the south part of the property, there would be an expansion of the parking lot to allow for more parking for patients and for staff. So that's kind of a quick overview of the project. We're happy to answer any questions that the members of council may have. As Michael said, the Planning Commission voted in favor. The only potential issue that some members of the Planning Commission were concerned about, the literal description of the commercial neighborhood district indicates that it is intended to be commerce that only serves the neighborhood. And as stated, this is a facility that takes referrals from all over the triangle. So it's not literally that, but as staff said in your packet that they provided for you tonight, that zoning description is intended to be descriptive and to guide decisions, but is not a literal restriction on the zoning designation. The commercial neighborhood designation was chosen to reflect the kind of low intensity commercial use of this property. So it's not a shopping mall, right? It's a veterinary facility, and so that's the intent of the zoning district, and we believe we reflect that. Again, happy to answer any questions that council may have, and with that, I will rest.
Thank you, Mr. Herman, for being here tonight and your comments. I think you indicated that Mr. Nunez and Mr. Whitaker were here to answer any questions if we have them. But I do have Mr. Michael Graffinger, who is also a proponent. If you'd like to make comments, sir, we will open up to you for your comments at this time, 3 minutes.
Thank you for having me. I just want to say that this bill, can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The main expansion for the building is not to hire additional staff. It's more or less to accommodate the staff we currently have. We are a 24-hour specialty hospital for animals. So we have multiple specialties and we have 24-hour emergency care. And the building that we're in currently, that we need some additional space for the staffing that is there. And one of the big limitations that we have in the building is that the business has grown to where our parking has been limited and we're having to use the parking on the street. and I'm sure that's become a bit burdensome to the residents of the neighborhood. And one of the big goals not only is to accommodate our current staff in the new building, but also to take some of that parking off the street and put that into the property without being a burden on the residents and parking in front of houses and whatnot. That's one of our big goals as well, is to expand the parking. We really enjoy the neighborhood. We enjoy the area. It has been a wonderful opportunity to be there, to grow there, but we just want to continue to grow with regards to having more space for the current staff and for the specialty practices within the practice. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir, for being here tonight and for your comments. I do not have any opponents signed up either here in person or on the internet. And so I will now declare this public hearing to be closed, and this matter is back before council. We have two motions for our consideration with this matter, and I am ready to entertain motion number one. We are missing.
Madam Mayor, if I could just ask the question.
Say that again, Councilwoman Freeman.
If I could ask a question.
Yes, you may. I'm sorry. You sure may. And anyone else who has any questions, we'll see you.
Just checking in, and it may not be something you'd be able to speak to this evening, but is there a plan in place to have any signals at that intersection at all?
I will have Bill Judge talk to you about that.
Bill Judge, Assistant Transportation Director. There is a bicycle and pedestrian project along Maureen Road that's currently in right-of-way acquisition that will make bicycle and pedestrian improvements, but there are no plans for signalizing the intersection here at Linden Drive at this time. On tonight's CIP budget, there is a money for an improvement at Maureen and American for a future roundabout, which is just south of here, but not a signal at this intersection.
Thank you. And I just would strongly recommend us taking a look at that intersection, just acknowledging how the speed, growing number of folks going to this location means a slowdown at that entrance to make that left or a right, and just putting it on our radar, that's all.
Are there any other questions of council?
I was trying to give him some time.
Okay. We'll wait for a second for Councilman Williams to come back in. He's coming in right now. We'll give him a second to get here. All right. We will now turn our attention to the two motions under item number 40. We are ready to entertain motion number one, which is to adopt an ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance by taking property out of the commercial neighborhood CN and residential suburban -10 RS-10 districts and establishing the same as commercial neighborhood with a development plan CND district.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Freeman and seconded by Councilwoman Caballero. All those in favor, if you will raise your left hand as a sign of aye. All those opposed will have the same right. Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. We now turn to motion number two for our consideration, and that is to adopt a consistency and reasonableness statement as required by North Carolina General Statute 160D-605.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Freeman and seconded by Councilwoman Caballero. All those in favor, if you would sign by raising your left hand. Affirmative. And those opposed will have the same right. Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much. We now turn to item 41, the Unified Development Ordinance Text Amendment, Omnibus Changes 17. I do not believe I have any speakers signed up for this item. Let's see, and we will receive our staff report.
Thank you again. Michael Stock with the Planning Department. Text Amendment TC 210006 proposes technical revisions and minor policy changes to various provisions of the Unified Development Ordinance, or UDO. The amendments are identified as necessary corrections or clarifications or reorganizations or other minor changes to clarify the intended regulations or codify interpretations, and also to reflect minor policy changes, some of which are not solely technical in nature. Additionally, certain proposed changes are as a result of recent adopted state legislation. The Planning Commission recommended approval with a vote of 11-2 on March 8th, 2022. The recommendation also included consideration of not forwarding changes to the small lot option standards until the staff has met with Preservation Durham. Staff had met with Preservation Durham, and after the meeting, staff agreed to remove 3 changes that were associated with the small lot standards, and thus they are not included in the ordinance before you in Attachment A. The Durham Board of County Commissioners considered this amendment at its June 13th meeting and approved the amendments. As a reminder, there are 2 actions requested. First, a vote on the ordinance itself found in Attachment A, and second, a vote on the Statement of Consistency in Attachment B. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stock. You have heard the report from staff, and I'm now going to declare this public hearing open. First, are there any questions for staff from members of council? Councilwoman Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Stock. Could you talk a little bit more about the provisions that were removed, what they were, and what the objections were to them?
Sure. There were 3 provisions. One was more of a clarifying provision to for flag lots and to allow the small lot option to be a flag lot also. It's already actually allowed, but we are adding it in or modifying the ordinance to be more explicit about it. The second was to allow for small lots to be considered for lot averaging, which the ordinance already allows. It allows a subdivision to provide for slightly smaller lots than the zoning would normally allow and trade off for slightly larger lots as long as the average of those lots met the minimum requirements. That was not explicitly allowed, and we were going to, the proposal was to be explicit to allow that. And third was to consider exemptions to the square footage based upon the slope of the lot and how the slope it hindered the construction or put constraints on the square footage maximum that goes with the small lot option. As you may recall, if you do implement a small lot option, which gives you a much smaller lot than what the base zoning requirements are, you have a maximum house size. So you get a small lot, but you're held to a small house. The general objections raised by Preservation Durham were more of they were concerned about the impacts of small lot developments or proposals on older neighborhoods, the encouragement of the potential encouragement of more tear downs. Those are metrics we're still tracking. We provide those metrics and for those of you who are on JCCPC, you get those, I believe, on a quarterly basis. We haven't seen those results yet that relate directly to small lot subdivisions relating directly to more demolitions, but they raised those concerns. They wanted to have those and other EHC provisions kind of play out a little bit longer to see a little bit more longer term effects. And staff was, Omnibus is not meant to move forward with primarily very controversial or significant policy changes. So we had no concern with holding off on those. Again, one of the provisions is already allowed. We were just being explicit about it. And small lot options are one of the more popular provisions of expanding housing choices that's being utilized. So they're happening. So we didn't see a concern with that.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a follow-up from comments from commissioners. Will it be possible to add, I guess, graphic examples of what that would look like so that folks in the public would be able to see that?
Graphic examples of what was pulled out?
No, graphic examples of what you mean when you say the small lot on the smaller lot and...
Yeah, one of the things, that's a great point. One of the things that staff is going to be working on in the future is trying to make the UDO more accessible, and Director Young brought that up in regards to Councilmember Williams' question about making all the processes by the city more accessible to folks. And the UDO is straightforward in some ways and is a typical ordinance in many other ways, which means that it is not readily readable or accessible by the layperson. So one of the things that we are going to look to do when we do more substantial revisions to the UDO, and even if we can take advantage of it with any future text amendments, are look to see about what we can do to install more graphics. But mainly, and then also improve our customer service outreach or brochures or whatever to try to develop those kinds of mechanisms too, and methods too. So it's providing the information in maybe a brochure or a pamphlet version, but also when we take a look at the more extensive changes that you'll see in the next few years based upon the comp plan to create an ordinance that's more graphic oriented and less wordy.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions of staff? All right. I have no speakers signed up for this item. So I will now declare the public hearing.
Just a brief comment, Mayor. I just want to say that I think that we're heading in the right direction. This is a good start, and I appreciate staff working on this. But this is just a start, correct? We're going to continue to work on some other enhancements.
Absolutely. We're always working to improve things.
I appreciate it. Thank you all for doing that.
I will now declare the public hearing to be closed, and the matter is back before the council. If anyone has any other questions or comments they'd like to make at this time. Seeing none, we have two motions for our consideration.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance by taking property out of the residential, the ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance incorporating revisions to Article 2, review authority, Article 3, applicants and permits, Article 4, zoning districts, Article 5, use regulations, Article 6, district intensity standards, Article 7, design standards, Article 8, environmental protection, Article 9, landscaping and buffering, Article 10, parking and loading, Article 12, infrastructure and public improvement, Article 15, enforcement, Article 16, design districts, and Article 17, definitions.
Second.
If you will hold the motion for 1 second, we have noted that we may have a possible speaker to this item whose hand is raised, and that will be Ms. Mimi Kessler. No, but they missed it. So I will need to
Good
reopen.
evening.
Ms. Kessler, if you would just allow me to say that I am going to reopen the public hearing in this matter. Now you may speak. Thank you. Just want to be technically correct.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. And I appreciate you recognizing me. I did sign up late to talk. So as Mr. Stock knows, I watch these omnibus text amendments fairly carefully. And one of the things that's very difficult to track is when the language of our UDO is impacted by state legislation. And I think that it would be very helpful if if there were links from our UDO to the state legislation that has caused the change. I think that would be very helpful for those of us that, you know, when we're reading the UDO, as one does, we would be able to drill down on which piece of legislation is impacting our UDO. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you, Ms. Kessler. We appreciate you being here tonight and signing up to speak on this item. Making sure that we have no other speakers for this item. We will now close the public hearing again, and we have two motions for our consideration. Motion number one, if you'd like to read that again, Councilwoman Freeman.
Always good to practice.
You're making that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Kessler. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance amending the Unified Development Ordinance, incorporating revisions to Article 2, Review Authority, Article 3, Applications and Permits, Article 4, Zoning Districts, Article 5, Use Regulations, Article 6, District Intensity Standards, Article 7, Design Standards, Article 8, Environmental Protections, Article 9, Landscaping and Buffering, Article 10, Parking and Loading, Article 12, Infrastructure and Public Improvements, Article 15, Enforcements, Article 16, Design Districts, and Article 17, Definitions.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Freeman and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor, if you would sign aye by raising your left hand. All those opposed would have the same right. Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. We are now ready for consideration of motion number two.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the appropriate consistency statement as required by NCGS 160D-605.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Freeman, seconded by Councilwoman Caballero. All those in favor, if you would sign by raising your left hand. All those opposed have the same right. Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. We now turn our attention to item 42, Wabash Parcels Zoning Map Change, and we will receive our staff report from Mr. Stock.
Thank you very much, Michael Stock with the Planning Department again, and this is the last item you'll hear from me tonight. So, however, the applicant actually has requested a continuance for this item due to the applicant team not being available for this date. They are requesting a continuance. The date that we have identified, the earliest date we have identified for them would be September 19th, your second meeting, if I'm getting that date correct. It would require you to open the hearing and then a motion for continuance, if you so choose.
All right. I will now declare this public hearing open. And we would also entertain a motion to continue.
Move to continue.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Councilwoman Caballero and seconded by Councilwoman Freeman. All those in favor, would you sign by raising?
Can you say
2 September 19th.
Correct, to date certain, September 19th.
Okay, 2 September 19th.
Correct.
We can ask. Okay, move to continue to September 19, 2022.
Yes.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Caballero, seconded by Councilwoman Freeman. All those in favor, if you would sign by raising your left hand, aye. All those opposed have the same right. Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. We are learning. Yes, we are. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right. That brings us to our supplemental items, and our attorney is going to guide us through this process, and we will begin with item 45, fiscal year 2022 through 2023, amendment to contract for city services and programs for the downtown Durham Municipal Service District. I'll turn it over to Attorney Rayburn.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is an item where we had a vote that is
technically could result in a violation of a fairly new North Carolina statute. We were just talking about state legislation that changes the things that we do. So very early in the year, there was a new provision on conflicts of interest for council members. And you all may remember that I sent you a memorandum that if you are on a nonprofit board, you are not allowed to vote on city contracts that might provide grants, loans, other appropriations to that nonprofit. And this is just one that kind of slipped through the cracks, I think, on all of us. And so what I'm going to ask before we even get into the various motions that I want to guide you all through is I'm going to ask the council member who sits on the board of DDI to formally recuse himself from consideration of items 45 and items 46.
This is clearly racism, but I'll do it. I recused myself from this vote and was not aware of the implications. I don't participate in votes on the board of DDI, sitting as an observer, but I am, by virtue of their bylaws, a member of the board. So fully recognize the need for us to dot our I's and cross our T's. So in accordance with the legislation, I want to announce for the record that I'm recusing myself from this vote on these matters regarding DDI. That good?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Yes, that's what we needed. So with respect to agenda item number 45, Madam Mayor, at the Monday, June 6, 2022 City Council meeting, the City Council voted and approved by a 7-0 vote a contract amendment for city services and programs for the Downtown Durham Municipal Service District between the City of Durham and Downtown Durham, Inc. The City Attorney's Office recommends that the City Council adopt the following motion: to rescind the June 6, 2022 City Council vote authorizing the contract amendment for city services and programs for the Downtown Durham Municipal Service District between the City of Durham and Downtown Durham, Inc.
We have a movement.
Move to rescind?
Second. It has been moved by Councilwoman Caballero. It has been seconded by Councilwoman Freeman. All those who will be...
Madam Mayor, point of clarification. Madam Attorney, I was part of that original. Should I vote to rescind and then recuse myself from extending the contract, or?
That is a great question, Mayor Pro Tem. I actually went back and forth with Deputy City Attorney Fred Lamar, and we kind of agree that your recusal from all votes related to the DDI matters is probably the safest way to go.
Thank you.
It's not clear, but sharp question.
You say absolutely. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Right, it has been moved by Councilwoman Caballero, seconded by Councilwoman Freeman. All those in favor, would you sign by raising your left hand? All those opposed will have the same right. We know we have one abstention, and that motion passes.
Recusal.
I'm sorry, we have one recusal, and that motion will pass unanimously for the remainder of the council.
It's a vote of 6-0.
6-0.
Yes. Thank you. I know this is getting so hyper-technical tonight. I apologize. And so now you can take up agenda item number 45.
All right. I'm now ready to entertain a motion to authorize the city manager to execute a contract amendment with Downtown Durham, Inc., DDI, to provide services and programs within the Downtown Durham Municipal Service District in an amount not to exceed $1,697,000 for $20 for 2022 through 23, subject to City Council budget authorization.
Second.
So moved. Been moved by Councilwoman Freeman, seconded by Councilwoman Caballero. All those in favor, if you would raise your left hand. All those opposed will have the same right. That motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Okay, and now to agenda item 46. Before you take up this item, members of council, I'd like to inform you that at the Monday, May 16th, 2022 City Council meeting, the City Council voted and approved by a 5-0 vote a contract to fund economic programs and services operated by Downtown Durham, Inc. for fiscal year 2022-23. The City Attorney's Office recommends that the City Council adopt the following motion: to rescind the May 16th, 2022 City Council vote authorizing the contract to fund economic programs and services operated by Downtown Durham, Inc. for fiscal year 2022-23.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Freeman, and it has been seconded by Councilwoman Johnson. All those in favor, if you would sign by raising your left hand. All those opposed will have the same right. Seeing none, that motion passes 6-0.
And now, Madam Mayor, you can take up item 46, as you normally would.
Ready to entertain a motion to authorize the city manager to execute the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 contract with Downtown Durham, Inc. to operate economic development programs and services in an amount not to exceed $170,048.
So moved.
Second.
That was a tie. Okay, so Councilman Williams has moved, and it has been properly seconded by Councilwoman Johnson. All those in favor, if you would raise your left hand. All those opposed will have the same right. Seeing none, that motion passes 6-0. We recognize our president and CEO of Downtown Durham, Inc. Thank you so much for being here, Ms. Thompson. All right, I think that now turns us to our pulled items. However, I do think I want to go ahead and try to get our break into the 9 o'clock hour in order for our closed captioners to have their break. So we'll stand in recess for, how long do you all need? 5 minutes is good? 5 minutes good? 10 minutes? 10 minutes. 10 minutes it is. We'll see y'all at 5 after 9. Thank you. We'll be right back.
July 4th is just around the corner, and so is our annual citywide celebration. A dynamic fireworks show will follow the Durham Bulls game on Monday, July 4th at the Durham Bulls Athletic Park. The game against the Memphis Redbirds will begin at 6:35 p.m., and the fireworks will happen just after that at approximately 9:15 p.m. Gates will open for general admission at the end of the 7th inning based on availability for those that would like to watch the fireworks from inside the ballpark. Additional viewing sites outside of the ballpark include the grassy area behind Diamond View 3, Burt's Bees, which is outside of the North Deck, Tobacco Road Sports Cafe, and Pony Source Brewing. Tailgating and/or alcohol is not allowed in the parking decks, nor is watching the fireworks from the parking decks or stopping or illegal parking along the public streets or highways. In the case of inclement weather, the fireworks may be rescheduled to July 6. To find out how to buy tickets to the Bulls game or for more information about the fireworks, visit dprplaymore.org/312. Also, be sure to follow our Parks and Recreation team on social media.
Megan, from the moment DPAC opened, it's been a hit. Everybody knows that. With great Broadway shows and musical performances, you don't have any trouble at all selling tickets. So why are you providing this kind of programming to all Durham residents? Why are you making DPAC so accessible?
Well, I mean, you're right. DPAC has had a lot of success, but that success is because of our community. It's because we have such a dedicated, really enthusiastic audience and community. So I work really hard to create opportunities so that we really have something for everybody and that all in our community can get into the theater and see some live entertainment. So I think that we're getting better and better at that each year. We're adding programs and really trying to make our doors open to all and our building accessible to the community.
We, the people.
Nosotros, de gente.
我们人民.
Mia Dumas IV.
Hum sab log. We the people hold these truths.
To be self-evident that all men
and women are created equal
and shall be afforded
the inalienable right
to fair housing.
The City of Durham and HUD are committed to ensuring that everyone is treated equitably when searching for a place to call home.
Did you know the City of Durham has interpretation and translation services available?
The city adopted a language access plan to provide language services and help non-English speakers have access to city services and programs without a language barrier. Through the city's language access plan, residents have the right to request interpretation and translation services free of charge, receive translation of vital documents and emergency communications in Spanish, and submit complaints of language discrimination or on the failure to adequately provide services in accordance with the city's language access plan policy. For more information on the city's language access efforts, visit durhamnc.gov/language access. ¿Sabía que la ciudad de Durham cuenta con servicios de interpretación y traducción? La ciudad adoptó un plan de acceso al idioma para ofrecer servicios lingüísticos y ayudar a que las personas que no hablan inglés puedan tener acceso a los servicios y programas de la ciudad sin la barrera del idioma. Por medio del plan de acceso al idioma, los habitantes tienen derecho a solicitar sin costo alguno servicios de interpretación y traducción, recibir la traducción de documentos importantes y de comunicaciones de emergencia en español, presentar una denuncia de discriminación por motivos de idioma o por no recibir servicios de manera adecuada de acuerdo con la política del plan de acceso al idioma de la ciudad. Para recibir más información sobre la labor de la ciudad relacionada con el acceso al idioma, visita durhamnc.gov/acceso.
Here's some tips to ensure that your garbage and recycling gets picked up. 1. Your cart should be put out for collection before 6 a.m. on your collection day. 2. Your cart should be at least 3 feet from all other objects such as mailboxes, telephone poles, fire hydrants, trees, and other carts. 3. Your cart should be no more than 3 feet from the curb. 4. No vehicles should be blocking your carts. The mechanical arms on our trucks need direct access to your carts and cannot reach around vehicles. To find more information about garbage and recycling pickups, go to this web address.
See a pothole? There's an app for that. Missed pickup? There's an app for that. Need to set up water service? There's an app for that too. Introducing the One Call app. Report your service request online on your schedule. Just download for free from the App Store or Google Play Store. Then, sign up and start using it to report problems, check the status of your service request, or just find out more information. Try the Durham One Call app today.
My name is Dwayne McIntyre, and I'm a dispatcher at the Durham Emergency Communication Center. The best thing about being a dispatcher at the Durham Emergency Communication Center is truly being able to make a difference. Sometimes you don't realize how much of a difference you're making. However, being able to hear feedback from when people call to say thank you, that you may have saved their relatives' lives or was able to calm them down, really makes it worthwhile being a dispatcher. One day I received a call from a man. He was trapped inside of his home. There was a lot of smoke. He was really struggling to be able to see and get out. He was able to tell me where he was inside of his home. I was able to relay that information to the firefighters, and they were able to get him out safely. My job is satisfying because at times I do go home tired, but I don't go home ever feeling like I didn't help anyone that day. There's always someone that's calling in that's in distress, that just may need someone to talk to, or just may need some type of emergency assistance. But every day I go home fulfilled with the knowledge that I've helped someone that day.
Have you experienced changes in Durham that negatively affect your everyday life? Many in the community have. The City and County of Durham want to correct those issues and ensure the future changes work for the entire community. They are listening and want to hear your ideas for making Durham a place where everyone thrives. That's why the City and County of Durham are inviting all members of the Durham community to take part in the creation of the new comprehensive plan, which will determine the vision for growing Durham over the next 30 years. This collaboration between the City and County of Durham and the Durham community is the result of the new Engage Durham initiative, which seeks to ensure that all community stakeholders are involved in the shaping of city and county projects. Help build a Durham that works for everyone.
The Durham City Council meetings and Planning Commission meetings are now available to live stream on all devices via the City of Durham's social media accounts. To watch, simply go to City of Durham NC on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. Devices include phones, tablets, laptops, desktops, streaming boxes and sticks, and smart TVs. The easiest way to view the live stream on smart TVs and streaming devices, such as the Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV, is via the YouTube app. Now you can follow along with the latest developments in the Durham community at dinner, your kids' game, the mall, in bed, during a breather, in the bathtub, and even on the International Space Station.
All right. We are now back in session. And we will turn our attention to item 12, our fiscal year 2022 to 23 budget and 2023 to 28 capital improvement plan that has been pulled by Mayor Pro Tem.
Madam Mayor, thank you so much, and thank you for that good time of break that we just had. Madam Mayor, I pulled this item because the years on the council go by really quickly, and the work can be really, really engaging, and you look up and before you know it, 2 to 4 years have gone by. So I think it's really important sometimes that we stop just for a moment to kind of bask at those watershed and threshold moments that comes in each of our lives as serving on this council. Tonight, I think it's fitting that it's almost poetic that the last thing we do is pass our budget for this upcoming fiscal year. One of the great traditions and practices of this body is at the time we pass the budget for each council member, if they choose, to opine a little bit, have words about the work that's gone into this budget. Sometimes we do it after we do it on consent. Sometimes we pull it and do it. So we're making good time tonight. So my intent is not to squander it. But I do firstly want to congratulate you, Madam Mayor. This is a threshold moment. This is the first budget on your gavel, under your gavel. So congratulations on that, and to Councilmember Williams and Councilmember Hyman as well. They say that there are certain things, I won't name them specifically, certain things you have to do as an astronaut in space before you're actually considered an astronaut. So if there was a corollary municipal government, it would probably, one of those things would probably be passing a budget. So I want to congratulate our new colleagues tonight on this threshold moment as we prepare to pass this budget, this almost, well, over $500 million budget. I want to congratulate you, Madam Manager, and to the staff on this, our last meeting of this fiscal year before we go on break, to the deputy city managers and all of the department heads, John Allure, for quarterbacking us through this process. Just an incredible, incredible job coming out of a pretty challenging time for our country and for our city. But this was a great, great budget process, and Madam Manager, you and your entire team and your shop are to be commended. I'm excited about supporting this budget tonight because I believe this budget, I voted, this will be, I think, my 5th budget vote as a council member, and I can't recall a budget where there are so many yeses to so many different constituencies in our city in this budget. And I'm excited to cast a vote for this budget after this great work that the staff has done. You pick a subject area or an area of concern for our city, and there's something in this budget that speaks to it, whether it's continued support for eviction diversion. We're going to bolster our bilingual capabilities and pay folk more who bring those important skill sets to our work and make us more competitive in the marketplace. We're going to finance training of 911 call takers, and not only training new ones, but up-training existing ones. We're codifying raises for our first responders and also returning our pay plan to its past glory for our employees that are not first responders. Under public safety, this is a historic budget. This budget will stand up a new department. We are actually changing our org chart. I think it's a testament to work that goes back almost a decade in this city. I think back to organizations like FADE and Southerners on New Ground and the NAACP and the People's Alliance and Durham CAN and Southern Coalition for Social Justice, organizations who challenged us to think about new ways of looking at public safety, to the modern day organizations like Durham Beyond Policing and Durham for All. This budget says yes to us looking at ways to have alternative responses to public safety, and that's a good thing. This budget also says yes to mothers and uncles and nephews that I've had hundreds of conversations with in breezeways and public housing complexes over the years who are not professional, well-funded organizers. They don't write emails, but they talk and they have a voice. This budget says yes to them, that yes, we'll try something because they asked us to try it, to send police more quickly to your neighborhood when gunfire goes off. This budget rejects zero-sum game politics. It says, yes, we can win all together in Durham. That it's hard sometimes giving folk everything they want, but the people of this city elected us to sit in these seats and do the impossible. That is, try and give as many yeses as possible. And I think this budget does that. It says, alas, yes, 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 to so many different perspectives, so many different constituencies, so many different neighborhoods in the city. I think we should be proud of it. I'm excited to pass it, vote for its passage. And I want to congratulate the staff and congratulate my colleagues, particularly my new colleagues, on this threshold moment when they will cast a vote on their first budget for our great city. Thank you all so much. May God bless Durham.
Are there any other comments from council members? All right. At this time, I am ready to entertain a motion.
Move to adopt. Move to adopt.
Second. It has been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Middleton, and it has been seconded by Councilman Williams. All those in favor, if you would raise your left hand. All those opposed, you have the same right. I believe that motion passes unanimously.
We passed the budget.
Thank you to the city staff and to our manager who does so much in helping to guide us through this process. I try to be a woman of few words. I think that, I hope that my actions speak louder than those, but I'm used to being in a place where my comment is I have no comment. So I just have a word of thanks to all of you all here that sit on this dais with me. And I say thanks to those who carried out here in chambers and those who are in the public. So now we turn to item number 16. Which has been pulled by Mr. Chavis. And we also have another speaker, Mr. Ron Stewart. Item number 16 is a grant agreement with the Housing Authority of the City of Durham, Elizabeth Street Apartments, Durham Downtown and Neighborhood Plan. We have one speaker on the internet, Ron Stewart. And we also have Mr. Chavis here to speak on this issue as well. Each of you will have 3 minutes. Mr. Chavis, if you come on up, we'll let you go first this evening, sir.
Good night to y'all, councilmen and mayor. For this, I'm addressing this to Councilman Hyman, Councilman Lemon, and to our attorney. I want y'all to understand what I'm going to ask. Can y'all tell me that the city have or do not have a policy says if you in debt, you cannot get any funds or loan from Durham City? Because this saying that y'all finna give Durham Housing Authority $6 million and he's in debt with the federal government for $5 million. Now, how can that be? When other people right here in Durham apply for funds and everything else and they are refused. But you're gonna take Durham Housing Authority and say, you are in debt, but we're gonna give you $6 million of taxpayers' money. Now, I would like one of the three of you to ask first, is this right? Question is...
Could you repeat the question and who you asked?
Question is, can anyone in Durham get a grant or loan that's in debt? Because if it can, then they should be able to tell them to come back up here and reapply. Because Durham Housing Authority, you are saying in 16 that y'all gonna authorize him to get $6 million, but he is in $5 million with the federal government. Now, can we do the same thing? Now, you're all looking puzzled. If I'm in debt and I come up here and try to get a grant or loan, would I be able to get it? Ask your staff over there.
Mr. Chavis, since you asked me a question, may I get some clarification? Because I'm not entirely following. You're referring to the Durham Housing Authority, but then you say he. The Durham Housing Authority is an entity. It has an independent board. So what, are you referring to debt that DHA is in? Are you referring to debt that an individual is in?
No, Durham Housing Authority under the leadership of Anthony Scott. Okay? We're paying our taxes, okay? Then he's turned around and has put Durham Housing Authority in $5 million with the federal government. Now that's an entity, both of them, right? Now somebody
You're referring to debt held by DHA then?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, who's the top person?
There is a president and CEO of the organization, but the debt is not his personally, so I was just trying to make that clear.
I'm not saying person, but I'm saying that person that's sitting up there at the top are the person in charge of that debt, just like I am in charge of my debt. You call that personal, but if I had a business or corporation and I'm sitting in the top, I still would be charged. Am I correct? Or would just be the business?
So I am not in the position to provide, opine and provide legal advice to individuals generally. I'm here to advise the council, I'm here to advise the city. If you would like to submit your questions in writing to me at the city attorney's office, I'm happy to give you my information and see if there is something that I could answer on behalf of the city.
Okay.
As I sit here right now, I'm not able to do that.
I'll get that right to you, Steve. Councilman Hyman, your profession is in mental health, am I correct?
I have a wide experience, but most of it is in mental health, social work, social service.
Okay. Anthony Scott gets $200,000 a year, but the people that I talked to y'all last time are sitting out there with not enough staff to operate that business to keep them in safety or keep their building from getting torn down. Do you think that's fair that you all help give him $18,000 and then a $3,000 bonus? This is what I'm talking about. Unfair to black people. Blacks up here being unfair to blacks out here. You're supporting another black man, but you're not supporting the people out here that needs the help. But you're going to give him $6 million of our tax money because he's sitting at the top. He's not sitting at the bottom. He's sitting at the top.
Thank you,
He's
Mr.
overseeing this money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chapin. There is a Mr. Ron Stewart. Mr. Stewart, if you are available, sir, you will have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes. My name is Ron Stewart. I am Senior Vice President of Laurel Street, the developer of the project. And I am here just to make myself available to answer any questions that the public or members of City Council may have in regards to the project.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. I will open it up and see if there are any questions of council. We are now down to one person in the member that's in the public. I think Mr. Chavis he's left the room. So are there any other questions from council for Mr. Stewart? Right. Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Stewart, for being patient,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
We have 2 motions for consideration with this item. I'm ready to entertain a motion to authorize the city manager to enter into a grant agreement with the Housing Authority of the City of Durham in the amount of up to $6,600,000 for the development of Elizabeth Street apartments. The source of these grant funds shall be affordable housing bond funds.
Moved as read.
Second.
It has been moved by Mayor Pro Tem. It has been seconded by Councilman Williams. All those who would be in favor, if you would raise your left hand. All those opposed will have the same right. Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. The second and last motion for our consideration on this item is to authorize the city manager to execute any and all documents and instruments necessary, reasonable, and appropriate in order to carry out the purpose and intent of this grant agreement and to make necessary changes to the grant agreement so long as the changes do not increase the financial obligations of the city and the changes taken as a whole are not less favorable to the city.
Moved as read.
Second.
It has been moved by Mayor Pro Tem and seconded by Councilman Williams. All those in favor, if you will raise your left hand. All those opposed will have the same right. Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously.
Mayor, I wanted to make sure this one went by because I know we definitely need it, but I also wanted to make sure that it was sort of clarified. We're not just throwing money out there. This was already pre-allocated from, what was committed from the city. And inflation is out of control right now, so we may see more of these situations come before us. Just wanted to put it out in the public atmosphere so the public can understand that the city is not committing more than what we previously committed to these projects, but sometimes it does require us to commit a little more based on the nature of the project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that clarification. All right, we now turn to other matters. I do believe that I'd ask Mayor Pro Tem to repeat his announcement concerning the...
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On Monday, June 27th at 6:30 p.m. At St. Joseph's AME Church on Fayetteville Street here in Durham, the CEO of ShotSpotter will be in Durham to engage in a community conversation and take questions. I invite all stakeholders, all concerned, residents, citizens, activists to come out if you can, on Monday, 6:30 p.m., this coming Monday, June 27th, at St. Joseph's AME Church. The president of ShotSpotter, Ralph Clark, will be in Durham for a community conversation that I'll be hosting at St. Joseph's, 6:30 p.m., Monday the 27th. All are invited and welcome, and the media will be echoing this as well moving forward. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'd like to give each of our council members a 30-second shout out, and then we will adjourn. 30 seconds, starting on the end. Councilwoman Hyman. Councilwoman Johnson. If you like a 30-second shout out, since we're at the end of our time together tonight and until after our break.
A 30-second shout out.
A 30-second shout out. That's it. Whatever you say in 30 seconds.
30-second shout out. I'm thankful to our staff, especially our city manager and her staff and folks in the budget department for getting us to this point where we're passing this budget. I have, of course, concerns that I've brought up on many previous occasions about some of the items, but I think on balance, the budget is really great. There's a lot of really exciting initiatives, and I'm looking forward to continuing to move our work around community safety forward, our investments in youth, our investments in our staff, our investments in affordable housing, all of the really important things that we are doing for our city. Just today, we passed 3 affordable housing allocations that are so desperately needed. So I'm excited about this work and looking forward to seeing you all at the end of July.
Councilman Williams, I'm counting now.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
I think I'm the origin of this. Thank you, Mayor, thank you, colleagues, but mostly thank you, staff. Approaching the idea of running for office, one of the main things folks talk about is the budget. And we just went through it, and I realized the magic really happens with you. So thank you, staff, for just being magical. And, I always say Durham, it feels like we have a political identity crisis. This is the beginning of sorting all of that out and just addressing all of the concerns that we foresee. So thank you. It's been an honor. Looking forward to next month, next year, and so on. How was that, Mayor?
You did very good. Councilwoman Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would say that I would echo my colleagues' comments and great thanks to our staff for getting us to this point, and our city manager and our city attorney and our clerk for getting us through this year. I will say that I am ever committed to seeing Durham socially equitable and economically just and fair, and I will continue to do the work I do, encouraged and inspired by the youth and the children in our community to treat others the way I want to be treated, and also noting that I will continue to use the Janus effect, if anyone knows what that means, to look back, to continue to cast a net forward that looks great for all of us. Thank you.
Councilwoman Caballero.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just want to give a lot of gratitude to our staff. It was an excellent budget. Similarly, there are things in there that I don't love about it. I've been very loud about it. But I also want to say that this is, I think, the first time that since I've been on council where we haven't had a very great and loud bike advocacy groups. Instead of asking us to do more, they're asking us to pass it, and they're super, super thankful for all of the infrastructure that we're putting in: sidewalks, bike lanes, connectivity to transit. And so this is the first budget that I feel like we've been getting better and better, but this is really excellent. So thank you so much to all our staff who've worked so hard for that. And to all my colleagues, safe travels if you're traveling, and I will see you back in July.
Mayor Pro Tem, 30 seconds.
I yield. That might say.
To the ladies to my left and right, you also get the same right to say something because you all you keep us straight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will be very short with my words this evening, but I would like to thank the staff here in the chamber. They know how much I appreciate the very, very hard work and the great thought, leadership that goes into the work that we do to keep our operations going, keep our strategy, our long-term goals on track. For the staff that are listening or who will look at this as a recording, thank you for all the work that you do every day. And last, certainly but not least, I thank you, council members, for your confidence in me as a leader, and for us as administrators as we seek to advance the vision of you all up here, as well as the residents that we all serve. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to thank the council for your confidence in me and allowing me to serve as legal counsel and my team. It is a great privilege and a great honor. I love how innovative and outside the box this group of elected officials is, and how hard you push this community to be equitable and push forward and change a lot of structures that have been deeply entrenched in many communities for a very long time. And as attorneys, it's exciting work. It's a challenge because we don't always have the laws to work with on our side, and sometimes we're trying to find the best way to navigate with your creativity and your insistence of making right in our community. I also want to thank the manager and her phenomenal team. They are wonderful partners. We feel like we've been growing as a city attorney staff in partnership with them, and it's been a great year. It's been a great honor. Thank you.
And to our clerk.
May I?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I kind of tried to let everybody else go. So I want to just say thank you for, I was kind of going into kind of learning how to do this. And so I just want to thank the city council members. I want to thank the staff, city manager, that kind of just took me under their wing. And I look forward to just continue working with everyone and kind of learning a little bit more and kind of diving a little bit more so in the next budget, because I will be able to participate a little bit more. So thank you.
To our city clerk.
I was afraid you were going to say that. I want to thank everybody for your teamwork and for supporting the new council members and bringing everybody on and working as a group and a team. It's really nice to see, from this side of the dais, and I'm really happy to be here and working with a great group of people. Happy vacation, everyone.
Well, we made it through Bull City, Durham, North Carolina. Remember that June and July are kindness months. Be kind human beings to one another. Bull City strong. We stand adjourned at 9:30. Great job, everybody. Job well done.